All right, hello again. Here is our second recap for the day. Because presentations are different enough from scholarly sources, I'm going to talk about these in this separate video. So first, a couple quick reminders. If you are presenting in class, you are limited to 10 minutes for your presentation, all right? So that 10 minutes is a maximum. It is okay to go under that, but to make sure every student presenting in class has that time, you're limited to 10 minutes. Now, if you're doing a digital format, on the other hand, there is no time limit whatsoever. So if you want to go 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even if you do like a feature-length film that runs like 2 hours, you would be fine. I have not had anyone do a feature-length film. I am not expecting that. I'm just saying it's there if you want to. Now, when you do upload the digital format ones, I recommend indicating which technologies you used to put that together, because that goes directly to the technology essential competency. The other thing is that when you're doing your presentations, make sure that you are indicating the complexity of your topic. When we talk about multiple perspectives, how it's affecting different people differently, that goes right to the diversity aspect of the competencies. If you are talking about how there are no easy solutions, or you are pointing out different types of solutions available, that goes right into critical inquiry and social responsibility. And so be sure that with your presentations, you're indicating kind of, how big is your topic. Now, that said, it is impossible to cover every aspect of any given topic. So what I recommend doing is zero in on something that's interesting. Zero in on a story if possible. Now, if you're doing an in-person presentation, because of that time constraint, it is very likely you'll need to leave out information that you feel is important. But the benefit is that you will have that Q&A opportunity. And what I have found often happens is that with a good presentation, it will introduce things that are interesting and important, and then your classmates will ask questions about the things that they find more specifically interesting, and that information you had to leave out will help you answer those questions. And so that even though you have that 10-minute time constraint, as long as you're leaving some time for questions, you'll find that you are able to provide plenty of information to give all of us something new. Whereas with the digital ones, since you don't really have the Q&A opportunity, you may find that you need to include more information, which is why you don't have the time limit. Now, a couple of things that I want to remind you are, when it comes to multimodality, make sure that you are using multimodality as well as you can. So, for example, if you're doing like a podcast or a video, do the best you can to have decent sound quality, decent image quality. I shoot these recaps on my phone. That is totally okay for most projects because the image quality is good enough. You can hear my voice. I'm not looking for spectacular technology usage. We don't have Hollywood blockbuster budgets. Now, if you're doing slides or if you're using the whiteboard or something like that, have things like bold images or bold text that really jumps out so people can see exactly what your titles and headers are. If you're using the whiteboard, that's great for Q&A sessions because you can quickly draw and react to what your classmates are asking. Gestural mode is really helpful as well. You'll notice that I film these videos in a way that I can get my hands on the screen, and I try not to do like scary monster type things. Little things like that are just things to think about. Now, when it comes to citing your sources with a multimodal presentation, that will change depending on what genre you're doing. So if you have a slideshow, it can, it's good to have the URLs for your images under those images. If you have sources you've been using, you can, if you want, put a slide at the end that gives your sources, or as you're giving your presentation, you can mention, as this individual said. If you're doing a podcast, same kind of approach. If you're giving information that comes from an outside source, it's helpful to say, this person says this, whereas this person says this. You're not going to have a full MLA citation. You're not going to have, publishers and dates and things like that, because these multimodal genres don't really allow that kind of room. Right? You don't want to bore your audience to death saying that this comes from issue number 7 of the 1992 edition of blah, blah, blah. Okay. The other thing to bear in mind too is that many of the sources you're using for your presentation are likely coming from your research papers. And so those citations in your research papers actually count as kind of the citations toward your research documents. Toward your presentations. So with that, as always, please let me know of questions. Text is a lot quicker than email as usual. But with that, have a good rest of the day. I will talk to you guys on Thursday.